Hello and welcome to episode 85 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I've had an okay week. Some days were definitely better than others. The week started off pretty crappy. I woke up Monday with another cold. I just have a feeling with my suppressed immune system and the fact that we are in the fall winter months that I just feel like I'm going to be sick until April, until this baby comes out. So yeah, I was sick again, but the actual cold only lasted a few days, and then I'm just back to my underlying cough that I'll probably have for the next couple months, but thankfully it did not get worse, so we're just kind of back to square one, and I'm feeling pretty good today. Now, I know that usually I like to record on Fridays and then upload so that it's ready for you guys to watch Saturday morning. I know a lot of you like to do that. Yesterday, Avery had a PA day, so she was home with me all day. And we ended up going out to the mall, having a little shopping day. She needed some basic things, and then we also had a little bit of a lunch and stuff. By the time we got back, I was just pooped. It totally wiped me out. And then we also wanted to go to a local Christmas craft fair that was in the evening, so I just did not have time to kind of fit this in. So it's Saturday afternoon now. Avery's upstairs playing in her room. Dennis is outside doing some yard work and stuff like that, so I have a little bit of time to myself. So I thought I would sit down and try and get this recorded and show you what I've been working on all week. So what do I have for you? I have some projects that you've seen that I've put a little bit more progress onto. I have a new cast on, and then I have some finished objects. And then I think at the end what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about some upcoming projects, some changes that I'm making to some of my original plans. Yeah, I've been really motivated to knit lately. It's been very difficult to not cast on tons and tons of things, but yeah, I've kind of got those in my mind, and I thought we'd chat about that. So let's get started first with my beverage. So I've got a new coffee flavor today from my Bones coffee that I ordered. So the one I'm going to be having today is the chocolate orange. When I opened this up, it smells exactly like one of those like Terry's chocolate orange chocolates, so that was extra delicious, and I've got it made up here, and I've got a new mug. So I think I mentioned last episode that I was planning on going to Guelph with my mom and Avery and my brother to my brother wanted to go to a place in Kitchener that I was going to drive him to, and then my mom and Avery and I afterwards were going to visit with my godmother Bern. So Bern, hi Bern. She got me this really cute mug as just a congratulations present, and so I thought this would be very appropriate since it's this adorable little winter wiener pup. Yeah, so this is what I will be drinking out of today, and then I have the chocolate orange flavor. And it does taste exactly like those chocolates. And you know what, that's really nice because I do enjoy the flavor of chocolate orange, but I've kind of been just put off of just sweets. I've mentioned many times that last year I kind of cut out sugar, and that has carried through. I've kind of lost my desire to eat sweet things. So this is kind of a nice little treat. So that's what I will be sipping on today, and then let's get started with my projects. I think the first one I'm going to show you is the progress that I have made on my November Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I am still not done the first sock, but I am pretty happy with my progress, so I'm pretty confident so far that November is not going to be a problem. I think the last time I showed these to you, I had finished my cuff and I had started working down a little bit into the stockinette of the leg. I have now finished the leg. I have also put in the heel. So I think I also mentioned last time how I was thinking of doing the usual triangular shaped heel that I like to do, but I was considering doing it in a reverse stockinette pattern, and so that is what I did. And I have finished all the decreases on the heel, and I am now working down the foot of the sock. So I know if this was all I worked on for the rest of the day today, I could finish this today over the weekend for sure. It is past, we're basically right at the midpoint of the month right now, so I try and have that first sock done for the middle of the month so that I know I have no problem, I will have no problem finishing the second sock in the second half of the month. I'm so close that I'm okay. I think I'm going to finish this by the end of the weekend, especially if we watch a movie or something later, so I will have a good start. By next episode, I should have a good start on that second sock. So, as I've mentioned before, this is the colorway that I am working on. It is the color Brisbane. I am really enjoying how all these smaller stripes are working up. I did not buy this color with the intention, like I didn't see it and be like, oh, I love that, I want to knit it for myself, and then decide to gift them. These are going to be for Avery's teacher for Christmas, but having knit, like as I'm knitting them up, I would totally keep these socks. Like I really like how these colors are knitting up. I'm still going to give them, even though her teacher's foot size is the same size as mine, and I could very well keep them. I'm not going to do that. I really like her. But I could definitely see knitting socks. Like in the future, if I was doing another Desert Vista Dyeworks order, and I couldn't find a color that I really wanted for another purpose, I could see reordering this one for myself. So that's how those are going. And then looking at the other things that I have to share with you, the only other thing that is a work in progress is my new cast on. So I think I will share that with you next, and then I will share my finished objects for the week afterwards. So you might remember several episodes ago I talked about a project that I was going to be casting on as a test knit. I have been chosen as one of the testers for Stephanie Lotvin, one of her recent designs called Linger Here. It is a really gorgeous, oversized, long cabled sweater, and I had said that I was planning on ordering the yarn for it. I finally did, and it finally came in this week, so I was able to cast on. I only have a little bit started, but I thought I would show you what I have and also the yarn that I picked and just how it is knitting up. So the yarn that I picked is the Cascade Cantata yarn, and the reason that I picked this is just because it looked like it was going to be a really soft, kind of light, airy yarn, especially for a garment that is this big. Like it's just, there's a lot of knitting and a lot of yarn involved. I didn't want it to be too heavy, and this is one of those yarns that kind of has that kind of like core, like a thread netting, and then it's got kind of fiber flowed into it. So it's a really lightweight yarn. Also, the fiber content is something that I really like. I generally don't like working with cotton yarns, but wool and cotton blends are something I really enjoy, and this is a blend of superwash merino and cotton. So I was really excited to get this in and try it out. It's super soft. I really like the feel of it. This is it in the cake. And then also just the different colorways, because of the way it's constructed, they all kind of have this very soft heathered look. I had originally thought of picking out a more colored version, so I was looking at some soft blues or maybe a soft turquoise, but ultimately when I thought of my wardrobe and what I would wear it with, I knew this is the color black, even though it looks more like a charcoal. I just knew that this would be a sweater that I would probably grab all the time if I got it in this kind of color. So I only have a little tiny itty bitty bit started. I've just started casting. I cast on, and I've started kind of the back shaping. So it's kind of a non-typical construction in that, from what I understand, you're starting at the back, and I did a little bit of ribbing, and I'm starting to, on each row, add stitches. So whenever I start the next row, I'm adding stitches going across, and then there's also short rows involved. So I'm kind of working along the back while shaping the shoulders, and then when I get to a certain point, it's going to I'm going to come forward and work on the front and the shoulders, and then it's going to join in the round eventually and go down. So this is all I have. This isn't so far a pattern that I can just sit, look at the pattern once, and then knit on for several inches. It's something that I have to sit, because there are short rows, and mark down kind of each row as I complete it. Each row is very simple. So far the pattern itself is very simple. It's just I have to be somewhere where I can concentrate, where I can mark down my rows, probably until I get to where I'm working in the round. So it is a little slower going than some of my other projects that I can just kind of tune out, watch something online or whatnot, and just knit away and not kind of really think about what I'm doing. So that's all I have for that project. I really need to get a move on. I think it's due sometime in December, so I'm hoping for next episode there will be a substantial amount of progress on that, but we will see. I really, 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 really love the finished object, and I want that sweater in my life. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the yarn, and then I think I don't usually show new purchases because I don't buy a lot, but since I did this order, I am going to show you the other two things that I picked up as well. So I ended up buying this yarn from Wool Warehouse UK. I think when I talked about the sweater originally, I had said that I was going to order it from Love Crafts, that website, which is the newer kind of version of what used to be Love Knitting, and I decided to go with Wool Warehouse. So they both had the yarn. Wool Warehouse, I had a better price per skein, so it was about $10 and change Canadian per skein, and then Love Crafts, it was about $13 and change per skein. Now Love Crafts, you get free shipping over a certain amount, whereas Wool Warehouse, there is a shipping charge, but the amount that I'd be paying on Love Crafts because of the $3 extra per skein, it's going to end up being more than the, I think, $7 shipping charge from Wool Warehouse. So I went with Wool Warehouse, and then while I was there, I decided to pick up two other skeins. If you remember earlier this year when I was trying to make all those socks for Dennis, one of the pairs was out of some Perfect yarn, and I really, really enjoyed knitting those. They went really fast just because of the way that they were designed to be identical, and I could really see the progress on the socks as I was knitting them. So I've been wanting to get another skein of Perfect, and I have looked when I've gone to different shows, but it's just not a yarn that a lot of vendors tend to have. So I went, and they had several on the website, and so I picked out these ones for Dennis. I'll probably make these next year, but I'm going to put this in Dennis's little stockpile of sock yarn. So I was excited to get that. And then I also picked up one for Avery. So they have these Perfect balls for kids that are only 50 grams, but you still get the little matching pair of socks out of them. And she's asked me to make her a pair of socks for Christmas. This child is going to be getting a lot of hand knit crocheted gifts this year, but she asked for a pair of socks, and I just thought this would be a really fun way to do it. Now I will say, when I was at the Woodstock Fair, I actually did find some of the Perfect Kids, and I bought a skein of that for her as well in a different color, and it was half the price on Wool Warehouse. So on Wool Warehouse it was about $6 Canadian, and when I bought it at the show it was about $13 Canadian. So that is something to keep in mind if that is a yarn that you've had your eye on. It might be worth looking at Wool Warehouse UK. So that was my whole order from them. I got the sweater yarn, I got some sock yarn. I'm really pleased with that. And so I think next I'm going to show you the finished objects that I had for this week. So the first ones I'm going to share with you are the most exciting ones, as usual. Not really. It's just another set of dishcloths that I have been making for gifts. One of the goals on my bingo card is to make 10 dishcloths to have ready for Christmas gifts, and I completed another set. So what I've been doing so far is making 2 out of just like a plain cotton, and then making one where I hold a cotton and a scrubby yarn together. So these are the ones that are just the plain cotton. I had this in my stash. This is just a blue and different shades of blue and white mix. I had then a kind of a matching blue in a solid that I did, and then I trimmed it out with more of this kind of sea foamy green. And then for the scrubby one, I got some scrubby yarn in that kind of same kind of periwinkle blue, and then I held it together with that sea foamy green as well, so that it kind of makes a nice little coordinating set. So that is one more set that I have for gifts. That's 3 sets of 3 that I've done so far, and then because my goal was to make 10 dishcloths, I just needed one more to fill that goal and mark off that square, so I just decided to do another one. So this again is also from my stash. This kind of peachy orange was kind of a remnant ball that I had, and then this pink I bought earlier, I think within the last couple of weeks. I had made a set with pinks that I used it for, and I thought it might look nice with the orange. So this one I'm actually going to keep for myself because I don't have any of these scrubby cloths and I would really, really like to try them. So this is going to be a gift for myself. And that is a total of 10 dishcloths. I might even be able to make some more. I'm pretty happy with the amount that I've been able to go through my cotton stash. I'm at the point now where what's left are kind of remnants that I really just, I'm not someone who's just going to make like all these scrappy cloths just to get rid of the remnants. I'm not really interested in doing much with them. So I think next time I'm in a place that maybe has a sale on some dishcloth cotton, I might keep my eye open over the course of next year just for some nice coordinating variegateds and solids and scrubby yarns, and just kind of build up a mini collection again, so for next Christmas I have something to work with, because what I have left I really don't find all that inspiring, and I'm happy with what I was able to get out of them for this season. So that is a square marked off on my card, which was really exciting. And then the other finished objects that I have this week also marks off a square on my bingo card. So I was determined this week. There were so many other projects that I kind of felt like working on, but I was like, no, I want to finish the last pair of socks for Dennis so that I can mark off that square, because I think the last time I showed these to you, I had finished one sock, I had started the second sock. The last time I showed these to you, I had just started the ribbing on the second sock. I think I just had a few rows done. And so I was able to pretty much do this entire sock this week. And I just, yeah, like I said, I just really wanted to get this pair done so I could put these aside, put these in the gift cupboard, mark that square off. It is done. I am so pleased. Here are the two. You can see that they are not matching. I debated kind of winding off the yarn to make the second one match, but I was going to be pulling out quite a bit, and I never like to risk that I'm going to run out because I've pulled out so much yarn. So I don't think Dennis cares if they match or not. So these are his fourth pair of socks for Christmas. So he's going to have a nice little box of 4 hand knit socks for Christmas, and I'm just really excited to have those all done. So that kind of leads into future project planning that I will talk about in one moment. But I have one other thing to share with you very quickly. You know I've been working on my Cozy Memories blanket. You know I've been trying to keep up with my yarns so that I can finish off this year's block in kind of an even way. And so after I finished Dennis's socks, I put some of the leftovers into a square, and then while I was in the mood and I had the blanket out and I had my needles out, I decided to wind off. I just worked from the other end of the cake that I'm working on for my DVD socks, and I decided to put that square in as well. So these two are done. I think I have at this point maybe 5. I have 5 more squares left of this row to put in. I think I will be able to do that mostly with other projects that I'm working on, and then I might have to fill in the gap a little bit at the end of the year. But yeah, this is going really well. So back to finishing Dennis's socks. That kind of leads into things that I am thinking of casting on very shortly. I don't know if next week there's going to be another cast on. Probably not, because I do have the sweater to work on, and I really want to get back to, I didn't work on my exploration station at all this week, so I do need to put a good amount of time into those, but I am so tempted to cast things on. So right now the only pair of socks that I have on the needles are my November DVD, and these are for Avery's teacher, as I've said, and I think this is my last pair of gift socks that I need to have done. So I could cast on another pair of socks, and I've really been thinking about casting on another pair of so earlier in the year I did a pair where I used a sock blank and I paired it with a semi-solid yarn, and I did the micro stripes, and I made those socks for myself. They are my favorite pair of socks. Every time I wash my socks and I put them back in the drawer, the first pair that I pull out are those socks. So another goal on my bingo card is to use a total of 3 sock blanks from my stash. I've only used 1 so far, and so I've been thinking if I cast on another pair of those socks, they went really fast because they were so fun to knit, that would knock out another sock blank from my stash. So I'm really tempted to start another pair of those. And then last week I mentioned how I had ordered some yarn for Avery's Christmas sweater. I really want to do this kind of color blocked oversized hoodie. And there was kind of a problem with the order because they were out of stock on the colors, and I had emailed them back with kind of replacement colors. I did hear back from them. I'm talking about Yarn Canada, that's where I ordered from. I did hear back, and they were able to replace those colors, and they upgraded me to expedited shipping so that I would get my order right away. So I might even get that this week. I might be able to cast that sweater on. I want to start so many things. And then the only other change in my planning, so if you remember within the last couple of weeks I've mentioned that I wanted to make something for Avery's bus drivers. So her morning bus driver got the October Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. Those are done. And I was going to try and make something for her afternoon bus driver, who is a male bus driver. Well, I don't know if I'm going to have to do that anymore. So there was kind of, I'm getting a little chatty now. We're almost at the end of the episode, so just hopefully you can humor me. But there was a whole debacle with her bus this week. She was on quite the adventure. I forget if it was Monday or Tuesday that it started, but I was outside as usual waiting for the bus. Usually I just sit on the porch because it's cold and it's miserable out, and the bus driver knows. He just stops in front of the house, lets her off, and she comes up to the step. I think I've mentioned before, but just in case you're a new viewer, we are on a very busy main road. So the day the whole thing started, I was waiting on the porch as usual, kind of just waiting for the bus to come by and slow down and stop in front of the house. And I happened to look up and see a bus drive right by our house, and I caught the number, and it was the bus, Avery's bus number. And I was like, what the heck, right? So I walked down to the end of the driveway. The bus was long gone. It turned the corner, and I was like, okay, what just happened? So in about 10-15 minutes it came back around. I guess it did some of the drop-offs in the neighborhood behind our house. It came around back to the front, dropped her off, and the bus driver made some comment about her being in a place on the list that wasn't in line with kind of the order of the houses. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, it's just a substitute driver. Her bus driver must be sick. It's one day. Fine, she's home. The next day, the same thing happened. The bus driver went right by the house. I think this time it did something else. And then when it came back around to drop her off, instead of being on the same side of the street, it was on the opposite side of the street. And it dropped her off and then kind of drove away. And like I said, we were on a busy street, so thankfully the cars that had stopped because of the bus flashing its lights stayed stopped so that I could go get her and get her across the street. But again, I was like, what the heck is going on? And then the third day, the same thing. The bus, I was right at the end of the driveway, hoping that, it would see me, it would just stop and let her off. It went right by. It did a whole bunch of other houses on the other subdivision. Came by, dropped her off on the opposite side of the street, but this time it didn't go past our house. It was just a little bit ahead, so I was able to walk over in front of the bus. And this time a guy came off the bus and asked, he's like, what is it with this list? This doesn't make sense where she is kind of in the order of drop-off and then compared to our house. So I guess her regular bus driver just used his common sense and dropped her off when he passed our house, even though she might not have been in that order. And I asked them, I was like, oh, are you a new bus driver? And he's like, well, I'm training the new bus driver. So I was like, okay, so it looks like her regular driver might not just be sick and off for a few days. He might have, found something else that he needs to do, and she is getting a new bus driver, and they are working all this out. The man I talked to, he's like, I'm going to talk to whoever organizes the route and have this changed so that she is dropped off in the proper order. But Oh my goodness, she was on quite the adventure this week, and all that to say that I don't know if I'm going to have to knit something for her afternoon bus driver. With only a month or so to go until school ends, I don't even know who this new bus driver is. I have never met them. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be knitting something for someone that I don't know. Like her other bus driver she's had for at least 2 years, and so that was why I was going to knit him something. So that might be off the list, which means that I have a little bit of room for something else like micro-striped socks or something like that. So yeah, that was just a little story time. I know this, like I said, it was a little chatty, but I think that's all I have to share with you this week. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're enjoying your weekend with whatever you're doing. I hope it's been super crafty so far, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.